Hey everyone! Today we're diving into the basics of filial generations in plant breeding, or in simpler terms, what those F1, F2, F3 labels really mean, and why they're important for understanding plant genetics. Whether you're a breeder or just curious about how new plant varieties are made, stick around. So what is filial? First off, filial just means related to offspring. So when you see F1, F2, F3, etc., it's all about the different generations in the lineage of a plant cross. Think of these as chapters that you're about to write in a plant family story. Each generation tells you something new about how the traits from each parent plant are passed down. F1 generation. This is the very first cross and the beginning of our breeding endeavors. Imagine you have two different parent plants. They could be different strains or varieties. When you cross those two, their immediate offspring is called the F1 generation. It's like the first print, first edition PSA 10 of your cross, and often at times the most sought after. And what's cool about the F1 generation is that if both parent plants are genetically pure, the F1 plants will usually be very similar to each other. This uniformity makes F1 plants popular with growers because they tend to have predictable qualities, like yield or flavor. The F2 generation, genetic mixing starts. This is where the fun begins, and you start to see the true potential of your mutt. So what happens when you take two F1 plants and cross them? That next generation, the grandkids, is the F2 generation. Here's where things start to get interesting. The F2 plants are no longer so uniform. You'll see all kinds of variations in the traits. Some plants might look more like one grandparent, others might take after the other, and some will be a mix. This is because the genetic combinations get reshuffled, leading to a lot of different outcomes. The F2 generation is like opening a treasure chest. You never know what you'll find. Why breeders keep going to F3, F4, and beyond. Now, if you're breeding and you want to keep certain traits stable, maybe you love the height of one plant or the aroma of another, or maybe you wish to cultivate a purple or black color, you can't stop at F2. That's where F3, F4, and so on come in. By carefully selecting the best plants in each generation and breeding those together, breeders slowly narrow down the genetic diversity, making each generation more stable and predictable. When you see something labeled as F5 or higher, that usually means it's been stabilized, so the plants will be consistent, generation after generation, often at times labeled heirloom at this stage from breeding true for the traits the breeder has selected. I do think it's worth noting that a botanist would define an heirloom as an open-pollinated, genetically stable plant variety that has been cultivated and preserved across generations without hybridization, valued for its historical, cultural, and genetic resilience. Once full stability of the curated and selected traits happen between filial 6 through filial 8 and beyond. These strains are known as an inbred line, producing true homozygous traits, clearing up common confusions. So why is there often confusion around the F1 label? Well, in the commercial world, sometimes plants are labeled F1 hybrids, even if they don't have super stable parents, which can lead to less predictable results. A true F1 hybrid should be uniform if the parents are stable, but not all F1 seeds on the market meet that standard. So if you're buying seeds, it's helpful to know the background of the parents if possible. And that's the basics of filial generations. The F1 generation gives you a mix of two parents. F2 shows you the range of possibilities, and later generations stabilize those traits. Understanding this can make a huge difference in breeding and in choosing plants that are right for you. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more plant genetics basics.